Welcome to Shojo and Tell, where we discuss shoujo manga and tell who's hot and who's not, talk about themes, and just generally geek out. Today, September 5th, 2020, we'll be shoujo and telling about the first 5 volumes of After School Nightmare by Setona Mizushiro. Should practice that one a little more before I said it, but it was all right. I'm your host, Ashley McDonald, and I'm joined by Mouna Toure. Hello, Mouna.
Hi, nice meeting y'all.
Okay, Mouna, who are you?
Hi, my name is Mouna. My pronouns are she, her. I am a Black cartoonist and zine maker, and I am highly influenced by shoujo and otome stuff. I am based in Northern Virginia / Washington, D.C. on the East Coast of the United States. And
East Coast, the correct coast.
If only East rhymed with something cool.
Yeah, no, it doesn't.
Because then the West Coasters have like West Coast, Best Coast.
I
like,
know.
They don't have anything.
But they're wrong, but that's fine. Whatever.
Exactly. So I go to a lot of conventions. I've been reading shoujo manga since I was in 5th or 6th grade. But I'd been consuming shoujo media since before then because I was into Sailor Moon as a kid.
Of course.
Yeah. So before I really knew what anime and manga was, had a full understanding of it. Oh, this is from Japan. Oh, these shows are based on things. So my first shoujo were probably in terms of manga were Tokyo Mew Mew. Or Mew Mew Power to some people. Myself included, let's be real. And I never turned back from there. I fell in love with Shugo Kyara in middle school. And
ooh, yeah.
Yep. And ever since I kind of realized, wow, American comics media is really a boys' club, you know?
Yeah.
And the fact that shoujo and josei exist, and it's specifically targets girls and women, even though anyone can read it, and that's all well and good and fine, but the fact that women and girls are the primary audience, it's
mind-blowing.
Exactly. And so since then, I kind of have this jaded thing about me where I say I've given up on shonen.
I mean, truly, I feel like I've also given up on shonen. I have not, but I'm just anytime a man just tweets about shonen stuff, I'm I don't like you.
Yeah. It's kind of like that for me. Yeah.
Yeah.
When guys are oh, you like anime? Yes, I do. What do you watch? I watch Free, the swimming anime. What you gonna do about it?
Yeah, I'm I watch Maid-sama and Kimi ni Choroke. How are you doing?
Exactly, and then they'll be but can they beat Goku? It's I don't care. I literally do not care.
I have no cares. Yeah. Yeah, well, so you were the one who was let's do After School Nightmare.
Yeah, and I was very torn, honestly, between this and Kitchen Princess, which is very different side of the
I was
spectrum.
I feel like those are very different.
Kitchen Princess taught me how to cook in high school.
Well, this one, now it's going to come out hopefully close to Halloween. It's hopefully somewhat more thematic. So, okay.
Ooh,
so
spooky.
Spooky, yeah. So would you like to tell the audience what After School Nightmare is about?
I would. After School Nightmare is a psychological thriller horror story about Mashiro, who is an intersex teenager who's been hiding the fact all throughout his school years. And he has been led to a school clinic that only he and a few people can see. And he's been told that he has to take a extracurricular class. And this class involves him falling asleep on one of the clinic beds and waking up in a dream. And in these,
very normal.
Yep. Anything you do after school, you know.
Yeah.
Just
very normal after school activity.
Mm-hmm. Astral projection, you know. But yeah, it's a bunch of these students taking the form of their quote true selves, and it's in a very symbolic sense. Mashiro, though, his form doesn't change. He looks the same in his school uniform, except he's wearing a skirt in some of the dreams, which highlight his insecurities and his worries related to his physical sex. And within these dreams, you're supposed to find a key, and that key can lead to your graduation, quote unquote. And there are all these students that are intertwined in this dream, and it comes out in reality. And there is a lot of trauma.
Oh, so much trauma. Yeah.
So much. It's a lot.
It's these kids, they've experienced things apparently. Okay, so yeah, since you suggested this manga, like when was the first time that you read it, and like what's your favorite aspect? Why should other people read it?
So when I first was exposed to it, I found it at my high school's library. Good old James Madison High had the whole series, all 10 volumes in its shelves. Like, my high school had a very large manga selection, and so there was always new stuff I could find.
Your high school wanted children to read no matter what. Yeah.
Oh yeah, the librarians were really into the manga as well. And they also loved me because I noticed that they were missing volume 7 of Lovely Complex, so I bought it at a con and donated it.
Ah, yes.
Like, I did this for you, but I also did this for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was at my high school's library, and I looked at the back and it said rated older teen, 16 plus. I'm like, I'm 15. Scandalous.
Scandalous, do it.
I think I was 15. I don't remember. But whenever I see that label, it's like, this is deep. It's got to be deep. And lo and behold, it kind of was. So that was how I first heard of it. I just read it volume after volume since then. And let's see. Your other question was, why should people read it?
Yeah, like what do you like about it so much?
I'm a huge fan of like stories that make you think, like, and sort of wrench you in the gut in a way that's like that can either be relatable or, like I said earlier, kind of like tickle your brain a little or a lot. Sometimes a lot. And stories that really explore things related to gender, I find really fascinating, especially as like a queer person myself. I'm cis, but I'm still queer. And most of what I know about the trans experience is through like my friends who are trans.
Yeah.
And so what I found so interesting about it is sort of the inherent queerness of the characters. Of the characters' interactions with the other two leads, Kureha and So.
Yeah.
Yep.
I was like, well, yeah, because there's a fabulous love triangle.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Always.
Yeah, you gotta love a love triangle.
And the answer is always, why not both? Just both, honestly, Mashiro. Both.
Honestly, I'll be honest. Like, there's some stories where it's like, why don't they take polyamory or ethical non-monogamy as a route? Like, can't that just be a thing in Shojo more often, please.
Yeah, I mean, on volume 1, they're all like cuddling together. I'm like, yeah, just do that.
Exactly. I'm like, the ideal. That'd be great. But alas, a lot of shoujo goes for like the one true love kind of thing. There was a panel at a convention I went to years ago where they talked about like the anatomy of the Bishonen character, and it was they made this observation like if a girl goes for the prince or the bad boy, she's always going to end up with the bad boy, something like that. But I kind of considered that as I was reading this. I thought,
oh no,
which isn't a spoiler, but like it's something I thought about. Like, is he gonna end up with either one of them? It's gonna be messy either way.
It's messy.
It's gonna be a hot mess.
Oh yeah, I mean, it started as a hot mess, and
it sure did.
Yeah, I gotta admit, I didn't know. So, I asked you what you want to cover, because that's what I do. I normally go to guests, and I'm like, hey, well, what do you want to cover? And then they tell me stuff, and I knew nothing about this manga before picking it up.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
Should I apologize?
No. I just think it's very funny, because, I started reading volume 1. I didn't even read the back or anything, and I was just like,
really?
Oh, dang. I had no idea what this manga was about.
Oh my god, you didn't even read the back. You're so brave.
I know. I was like, oh, I have jumped into something.
You just went on in.
Yeah. I was like, I have no idea where this is going. And all right. Like, I have been taken to a place. So I sure have.
Welcome.
Welcome to this crazy academy. Yeah. I was like, okay.
Mizushiro said, welcome to my twisted mind.
Yeah. I was like, oh boy, yeah. Like I had heard of X Day before from somebody else suggesting that. And that was the extent of knowing anything about it, yeah.
I was also considering doing X Day since I have both volumes. And I thought, well, that's short. I already did a reread recently before you even messaged me. So I thought, maybe X Day. But I think someone else already considered it. So I'm like, how about another thing by the same author?
Yeah, you're like, wait a minute.
I also really like.
I know. Yeah, so we did that. And then, I mean, looking into it afterwards, I was like, oh, well, I guess I'm the silly fool who missed out in, 2007 on how big this manga was. Because apparently it was nominated for an Eisner Award for Best US Edition of International Material, Japan.
Yeah. And the thing is, I didn't know that until recently because back in around 2007, I wasn't into like indie comics yet.
Yeah.
I was still doing the Hare Hare Yukai at anime conventions. So.
Right? Like, yeah. I'm like 17-year-old me didn't know anything. Can't trust
exactly.
that. And then apparently it was now that I work in publishing, I like care about these things so much more, so
right,
exactly. Yeah.
Exactly.
It was named like one of the best 10 graphic novels in 2008 by the Young Adult Library Services Association. So I'm like, okay, right. So I guess it was me, not the manga. Fine.
And like with these acknowledgments, it seems like a pretty big deal, but at the same time, the company went out of business, which I found interesting.
Oh,
I knew that Dokami went under, and I don't know why exactly. It might have been money issues, but the fact that that this particular series got all that acknowledgement and yet that happened, I thought, well, that's really unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean, so the general history of manga in the U.S. seems to be like, Viz was trying hard in the 90s. Tokyo Pop's there. Then it goes really crazy in the early 2000s with stuff like Fruits Basket and whatever.
Oh, yeah.
But then the recession and the overflow of manga that happened because there were so many different publishers,
right.
Gokami, the ones I can't even, like Del Rey became one, right?
Oh yeah, there was Del Rey, there was Studio Iron Cat, there oh god,
yeah. So there were too many, and like the manga market hadn't expanded that much, and then the recession hit, and so like a lot of the smaller ones just died. Yeah.
Oof.
I mean, even the bigger ones died, right? Like Tokyo Pop died in like 2012.
Yeah, and ADV, they did anime and manga.
Yeah, ADV. So a lot of them just got wrecked, and unfortunately, that means we're missing. I think there are a lot of really good out of print shojo in particular.
Oh, rest in peace from Eroica with love.
Yeah. So now I'm like, oh, so that's. I always love a good challenge of finding some out of print shoujo. This one, so this one obviously is out of print for everybody listening. But it wasn't too hard to find. I found copies at like the base price of $10 a volume, basically. Which is way better than what happened to me with Haruka Beyond the Stream of Time. So,
yeah.
So if listening to this episode intrigues you, you should be able to find an okay amount of copies in an okay price range. Oh, and I also want to acknowledge that normally the After School Nightmare is a total of 10 volumes, and normally for 10 volume series, we would only do one episode, but Mouna was like, no, we should do 2. And I was like, okay. And now having read it, I'm like, okay, I can see why. Yeah.
It takes some digesting.
It does. I'm like, a lot of things have happened to me. I'm not sure I'm fully prepared to talk about them, but I'm going to try. So from here on out, there's going to be spoilers. So if you haven't read After School Nightmare, but you want to, then maybe don't listen to this. And if you just don't care, just like, don't listen to this. Like, bye. I don't know. Go do something else that's fun. And if you have, and you're like, oh my god, somebody's talking about After School Nightmare, like, proceed. Okay.
I'd like to dedicate my being here to all my nerd friends from high school.
Yes, nerd friends from high school. Everybody who is living their best life in 2007 is a good time. So, After School Nightmare, as we've been saying, it's kind of a lot. So how would you classify, like, what is the genre of this manga?
Oh, man. Okay, definitely psychological horror is how I'd put it. But it's probably more complicated than that because, of course, it's also a drama, like a romance sexuality drama in a way because, of course, sexuality and gender and sex in itself are very recurring, very important and prominent aspects and themes of the story.
Yes.
Like, it comes up a lot.
So much. I mean, that's like the crux of the story almost. But that's why I'm like, the first volume, I was like, oh, I am in a horror manga. And I have never actually read a horror. I don't think I've read any horror manga, like shoujo, shonen, anything.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Not even a Junji Ito?
I haven't read any. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm aware.
Again, welcome.
Yeah. So I was like, oh, this is a whole new territory for me. And I was like, I'm kind of a scaredy cat though. Like, I have a like somewhat of a tolerance for horror, but then like once it fades away, I'm like, oh, I have nightmares now. yeah, like for real. I'm very scared.
Fair.
Yeah.
But what I like about it is that it's not like what TV tropes would call gorn.
Yeah.
Like, it's not trying to just scare you to shock you. It's scaring you to like make you think about it.
Yeah. I also feel like by volume 3, it's not even really like too horror-y anymore.
Yeah, good point. Like, there are points where they focus a lot on the romance, the relationship between Mashiro and Kureha.
Yeah, I mean, Kureha can still get stabby with some umbrellas, you know?
I mean, rightfully so at some points.
Yeah. And
like,
that's fine.
I get it. I get what you mean.
Yeah. But then I feel like in the beginning, there's Midori who, you know, just doesn't have a face or a chest and is like bleeding from those holes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And, you know, like that's weird and creepy. Yeah. But then, you know, then it's like Shinonome is a paper giraffe, and I'm like, well, that's not scary. You know.
Exactly. Like when I first saw that, I thought, like, wait, what does that mean? And
yeah.
But when it started raining and the giraffe starts falling apart, and it's like he's a kid, he's like a 14-year-old in high school who's like a prodigy genius. So like he's a chess master. Wow, I didn't even mean that literally, but he is literally a chess master.
He's literally a chess master.
But he also knows how to play people in a really genius kind of way. Like, oh, I know how you tick. I'll try to use you to my advantage.
Yeah, but so I definitely just felt like I was like, man, there's like a genre shift that has happened already, which I mean, fair. I feel like lots of manga don't really know where they're going in the beginning, and they're like, oh, wait a minute. hard shift after volume 1 or 2, and you're like, oh, okay, sure.
That's true. I do find that, like, for certain stories, well, I'll say that for shonen. I know that's not why we're here. Shonen does not know the value of an ending.
That's true. Shonen doesn't know the value of like anything really, but that's fine.
Except friendship.
Friendship, that's true. It knows
and heterosexuality.
Yes. It knows the value of friendship very well.
Yep. And like I feel like the fact that there's a really clear goal in this story, well, there's still some vague aspects to it due to the nature of the story and its mood. I find the goal to be pretty clear, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, I would assume the goal is figure out what gender / sexuality / sex Mashiro is.
Yeah, like him trying to sort of come to terms with what exactly his identity is, but that and also the graduation thing.
Oh, yeah. It's much more important to me that Mashiro comes to terms with his being.
Mm-hmm.
Get it together, Mashiro.
He's doing his best. He's trying.
Doing his best. Okay. I guess, yeah, in terms of like, what is this manga? I did want to note that on the Wikipedia page, apparently it was initially conceived as a science fiction story where they were on board of a spaceship.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I could see it. Yeah.
Yeah, so could I, but I feel like it wouldn't be as creepy.
No, yeah, it would lose the horror aspect of it.
Exactly, because I find that the more otherworldly something is, the less scary it'll be, because I think it would take more explanation.
Yeah.
Like, let me tell you why this is scary, or something like that. But the fact that there's that familiarity of a school setting is what makes everything else more unsettling, you know?
Oh, yeah, for sure. You're like, I don't want to think about the creepy things that happen in my school's basement now, you know? It's like...
If you can see the entry to the basement, that is.
Yeah, ooh. Yeah.
Yeah, because, like, no one sees the entry to the school clinic where the dreams take place. No one sees it unless you're of the chosen few.
Yeah, unless you're a chosen one.
Exactly, because even Mashiro said like, "Oh, I didn't notice that little stairway there," and like the teacher who sort of lures him in by saying like, "I've been waiting for you. You have a class here." Weird association, but have you heard of the movie Midsommar?
I have not.
It's this horror movie that came out a year or two ago about like a couple and their friends going to Sweden for a cult festival.
Okay.
And there's a scene where a character is lured in by a woman, says, "Come here, I show you."
Yeah.
And then he just goes with her. And I know it's a weird association, but it kind of made me think of that. Like, okay, I'm accepting. This is fine.
Yeah, this is fine. Everything's fine.
Yeah, it's like you don't know this teacher. You've never seen her before. I get that it's probably a big school because it's like a private school, a fancy thing, you know.
Yes.
But you don't know who this is. You've never seen that staircase before.
But that's the other thing, is that when Mashiro was like, maybe I just didn't notice it before, I was like, like, that's also a believable thing to have. Like, humans are really good at not noticing things that aren't relevant to them in any way.
That's a really good point. There have been tests run about that, like flight simulations where you could have run over something, but you only didn't notice a thing because you've been doing that same flight simulation several times.
Yeah, where I think there was a thing recently where it's like, if you give people a very specific task, I think it was a study where somebody was like, they told people to count the number of dribbles people were doing at a basketball practice.
Yeah. And there was a guy in a gorilla suit?
Yeah, and there's some guy who just comes out in, some weird animal thing, and like half the people don't notice.
Yeah. Exactly, because you're trying to like count how many times the ball hits the ground and how many times it's passed. Like, I had to take that for my that test for a class I was in university.
Yeah. So it's like that, I'm like, okay, yeah, Mashiro might have just not seen the staircase. I don't know.
That's a very good point.
Yeah. Yeah, so I guess from here we should do kind of a walkthrough of the major characters that we have so far, since some of them, I'm assuming, don't come back because they quote-unquote graduated. But we'll start with our main people who like definitely have not graduated because they have not figured anything out. They're still very confused. So we have Mashiro, who, Mashiro. Mashiro is our main, our main dude, or at least he very much insists that he is male. But he is our...
Yeah, it's how he identifies.
That's how he identifies. He does identify by he pronouns, but clearly a little torn up about it. Definitely faking his way with Kureha, being like, no, I totally want to mac on Kureha. And I'm like, everybody can tell you don't. Like, come on now, buddy.
Sometimes I feel a little bad for her in that regard.
I actually do feel a lot like pretty bad for Kureha, which is kind of weird for me because I don't normally like the like girly characters. No offense to being girly, it's just I'm not drawn to them normally. But Kureha, I'm like, you know what, Kureha, I do want better for you. Yeah. Like knowing her traumatic past that we get to introduce to immediately, I'm like, you know what, yeah. Kureha is trying her best. For sure.
She really is. And yeah, as a character, she's next on the list. Can we get to her or should we continue with Mashiro?
I mean, Mashiro is going to keep coming up more in theme, so we'll just go to Kureha, yeah.
So Kureha is this really sweet girly girl, but in the dreams... she's represented as a scary girl in a raincoat and missing boot, and she looks like a killer.
Yeah, she looks exactly like something out of a horror novel or something for sure.
Exactly, and like her weapon is like umbrellas that come out of nowhere and stab you from the sharp end.
Yeah, so much for walking home cutely in the rain or whatever. It normally happens in shoujo manga. No.
Nope. Should we explain why she looks like that?
Yes.
Yeah, so quick warning for sexual assault mention. So Kureha, it's revealed in a flashback in one of the dreams that first off, she's generally afraid of men.
Yeah.
And this is because her mother was abused by her father, and then she was trying to walk home from kindergarten or first grade in the rain, and she got sexually assaulted by a man. And the only thing she had with her was an umbrella.
Yeah.
And so since then, her thoughts were men only exist to hurt people. That's all they can do.
Yeah. Plus, yeah, her dad also sucked.
Yeah, even after that happened.
Yeah, even after that happened.
In the flashback dream, he said like she's damaged now. Like how will people look at her now? It's like, whoa, that's really, really goddamn harsh.
Yeah.
After your child just got attacked like that.
Yeah, it's like your main concern is like being damaged goods for a future husband right now. She's 5.
Yeah, like also, why would you go around telling people that your daughter got sexually assaulted? What's wrong with you?
Yeah, so many things wrong.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's like, one of the earliest stories we get in this manga, so it's a very hard start. Yeah, that's definitely the hardest start. So so that's why I'm like, no, Kureha is doing her best and I like her, okay? Especially compared to Soul. God. I hate Soul.
That's valid. He's incredibly gender essentialist, and that always bothered me. And I think it was supposed to bother the reader. Like, oh wow, you really think all men do X, Y, Z? Huh? Okay.
Okay, see, wait, this is the confusing part. Are we supposed to not like So? Because, like, clearly Mashiro likes So more than Kureha on a sexual level.
That's true. But when I think, it kind of makes me think, when I look at, for example, BL manga, what I notice is that, like, the dominant character for BL manga will often be kind of an asshole, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Sorry for the word. Kind of a jerk.
Yeah.
And yet he's still appealing in a way. But for So, he has all that jerk quality, but you still don't quite like him.
Yeah, no, I super don't like him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's another thing I wanted to throw into the like genre discussion from earlier. Is that I was like, I haven't read that much BL manga, so I'm not. I know generally of the tropes and things like that. So I was like, oh yeah. So we've also got like BL is a contention, genre for me for this manga. So
yeah,
okay, it's very interesting. That's why I'm like, so many genres. Which one? I don't know.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah,
because like Mashiro, like despite he's intersex, and is still male in his identity and his pronouns.
Yeah,
but he's still really insecure about about like from the waist down.
Yes. But I think of him, well, ironically, I think of him as male since it is primarily used, male pronouns. But definitely when I looked at the first volume cover for the first time, I was like, okay, that's a girl.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
For Mashiro?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I really thought Mashiro, based on the cover, was a girl. I thought of, sometimes I think that Mashiro looks like, like gives me Haruhi from Ouran High School Host Club vibes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But then at other times, he also gives me like Phi from Tsubasa Reservoir Chronicle vibes. So, it's very confusing.
That's such an interesting comparison to make. Like, because whenever I think of Phi, I didn't read a lot of Tsubasa, but whenever I think of Phi, I think of him being really smiley.
Yeah, it's not so much like a personality thing for Phi. I really think it's more of an art style thing.
Okay.
Yeah. It also really bothered me that this is very trivial, but with Mashiro's hair, sometimes it's parted to one side and then literally in the next panel it's parted to the other side, and I'm like, that is not how hair works. Is this?
Now I'll never be able to unsee that as I continue to read.
Yeah, no, seriously, it's really baffling. And I'm like, is this supposed to symbolize like Mashiro flipping between male and female identity? I don't think so, because it literally was like, I think I took a picture, of like one time where it was like literally back-to-back panels. I was like, you can see they're right next to each other. I don't understand.
I think, okay, as someone who draws.
Okay, yes, tell me how this happens.
As a person who draws characters, sometimes it's based on what's convenient in the moment.
Okay,
but still makes the character recognizable. I don't recommend it.
No.
I don't recommend it at all. But sometimes, I mean, he doesn't have like the kind of hair part where it's like, what's his name? Sephiroth. Not that hair part.
No, yeah.
It's not like a giant...
No, it's just that there's more hair on one side than the other, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely gets flipped. Randomly, seemingly.
I can excuse this personally. Like, it's not a prominent part that it's like, oh, wrong. Like that meme of Lord Farquaad just pointing.
Fine. Like, I get picky.
It's fine.
Okay. Fine.
I'll let it sit. I'll let it rest. I'll let it be.
Okay, but can we still murder So?
Yes, absolutely. So can, let's see, take a bath in gasoline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
But he is also a suit of armor in the dreams, by the way.
Well, is he? That's not confirmed for sure. Was it? No.
In the first 5 volumes? Yes.
It was?
It was, in volume 5.
In volume 5, we actually see him inside?
Well, we don't see him inside. It's I who tells...
I don't trust her. I don't trust her at all.
You know what? That's an excellent point. Like, this reading I'm doing of After School Nightmare is a reread since high school. Like... I hadn't read After School A Nightmare beginning to end since high school, so I'm rereading it for this podcast. So you know what? You have an excellent point.
Yeah, no, no, she's not trustworthy. That's not a reliable narrator.
I forget. Have you read Peach Girl?
I have not read Peach Girl.
The reason I ask is because there's a character who me and my friends call a trickster god.
Okay.
Her name is Sai, and she's just one of the main of like 4 characters, and everyone believes what she says.
No, never believe anybody. Skepticism.
Exactly. So, in other words, yes, you have an excellent point. I is not very trustworthy at all. Not in the slightest.
I has lots of motives. Okay, that's also like Mashiro doesn't really have like, you know, he's like, I want to figure stuff out, but I don't feel like he's greatly like figuring stuff out is kind of his one motivation. Like he doesn't want to. He has no strong feelings. He's just like muddling around. You know, I is like I bang my brother, and I'm like, okay,
pretty much,
and I want to keep it that way, and I'm like, no, that sounds wrong.
It sounds very wrong. Like, and the way they lead up to that reveal is So receives letters from I, like these anonymous looking letters, like, Mashiro Ichijo will never fall for you, so, and I'll find someone nice for you.
Yeah.
And there's even a scene that even reminded me of Revolutionary Girl Utena for a second.
Oh my god, so many Revolutionary Utena vibes going on here.
Like, there's a point where I, outside of the dream, is holding a pair of binoculars, and I don't, and it's like really fancy looking binoculars, like they came out of the Edwardian Times or something. But like, if I remember correctly, if memory is serving me well, they weren't binoculars that you hold in your hands. They were like the kinds of things you bring
with
to like a theater.
Stick on it, yeah.
Yeah, with the little stand on it, with the little stick. Like you bring that to a theater or a horse race. I guess a horse race. I don't know.
You bring it to the Kentucky Derby, yeah.
You bring it to the Kentucky Derby. The binoculars you bring to the Kentucky Derby. Exactly.
Yeah.
To a fancy sporting event.
Yes, to the fancy sports.
Off to the races, pit pit cheerio. Anyway. Yeah. But that just told me a lot about her.
Yeah. Yeah, that little bit.
Mm-hmm. Like, first of all, stalker vibes. Second of all, extra.
Yeah, so extra. Oh my god. This shit.
Yeah, like, wow, because that was necessary, huh?
Yeah. I definitely don't like her either. See, nope. I feel, now I'm starting to feel bad that I hate So. Like, because I'm like, he's clearly just being manipulated by his jerk sister. But like,
and he's being a jerk to her.
Yeah.
Okay. Wait, no, he's not being a jerk to I. He's being
a jerk to Mashiro.
He's being a jerk to Mashiro. And it's like that whole cycle of abuse or a cycle of anger kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like the anger that you feel from like someone else affecting you is something that you're going to project onto other people in a way.
Yeah, but now I feel like I'm having a double standard where I'm like, I feel sympathy for Kureha, right? and like, I feel bad for her, but I don't feel bad for So. And that's definitely a gendered thing where I'm like, well, Kureha is, more pathetic and useless because she's a girly girl, right? And So is supposed to be this manly man who's always going on about his manliness and whatever. But he does seem, to be the powerless one in his relationship with I. And so, but I have no sympathy. Like, I just don't like him. Yeah.
And that's something I found interesting about the knight symbolism. The fact that that according to I anyway, that So may or may not be a knight. Yes, he's armored, he's strong, he is powerful, and can crush you with his sword or his hand or whatever, but he's still under someone's command.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, because like a knight has a lot of power, but is still ruled under a kingdom or is like under allegiance to a king or something. So I thought of that.
His queen is I. Oh no!
Exactly, I know. It's like cringe. I see.
Get it out of here. No.
Things to make you wretch.
Okay. Well, so those four are just consistently in the dreams, murdering each other over and over again, like not wanting to graduate or whatever is going on here.
Just ripping keys out of each other's hearts.
Yeah, they're really in a foursome, I guess, but no, we definitely need to murder I anyway. But we did have some people who did graduate. First of all, being Midori, who we did mention earlier, is the one without the face or the chest. I don't know. She just basically gets her own little sides. I guess, what is it? Like Mashiro puts his hand inside of, she makes his hand go inside the hole that is supposed to be her chest, and then he sees her memories and everything.
Yeah.
Much in the way that he saw Kureha's. Yeah, so we see that she's a very studious, her parents are you gotta get good grades, you gotta get straight A's, you also need people to like you, you have to be perfect.
Yeah, and it was all to get into the top school of the best of the best colleges or the best of the best schools. And she participated in everything, the beautification committee, which is, according to the translator's notes, the school club that's supposed to water the plants and
I love Japan. Yes.
Yeah. I thought that was so interesting. Like so, like she was
never
out
do that in America.
That would be nice, though. I would.
It would
Love
be
that.
nice, but we don't do it.
Yeah, we don't. America, why? But she was out with like a watering can, tending to the plants, and she would help people with their tests, with their homework, attend all these clubs. And I think she was even on the student council or something. I think.
Yeah, they like suckered her onto the student council longer than like she should have been or something.
Yeah.
Because nobody else wanted to do it.
Yeah, like she would just, with a smile on her face every time, be like, I'll do it. Leave it to me. I'll do it. Because she wanted people to like her. And not just her peers and other students, but also the teachers and faculty. And I thought that's like, I get where she's coming from, but it's not healthy.
Oh no. And then, yeah, in the end, she doesn't get what she wants.
Yeah, she didn't get into the top school she wanted. Yeah, and at the end of it all her classmates were like, oh yeah, we wanted to thank you. And they had like a little scrapbook kind of thing with signatures saying like, thanks for helping me with my homework. Thanks for doing this. Thanks for doing that. And Midori just like loses it.
Yeah.
Like, that was me. This doesn't feel like me. I was only doing this to get into a top school. And now it's for nothing.
Yeah, because the point of her getting people to like her was not even to get people to like her, right? Like she didn't want that was just a means to an end. It's not like she had any meaningful connections, right? Like
exactly.
And I think it's so interesting because normally I feel like those type of storylines where it's like I want everybody to like me, it's like they secretly like don't like you.
Mm-hmm.
And they're mean and like see that their relationship with you is superficial. But in this one, that's not even what happens. Like she genuinely receives everything we saw was that she genuinely only receives like people actually thinking that she's really nice. I think there was one scene where she was sitting alone at the chair or whatever in the library or something. And they were always like, oh, yeah, Midori's always alone. But that was like after the fact that she had gotten weird, real, like, she had become reclusive and all these things after knowing that she didn't get into the best school.
Right.
Yes. So I'm just like, wow. That's how deep the psychological like aspect, like terribleness of getting people to like you and then genuinely having them liking you can go when you're not doing it for the right reasons, right? Like,
right.
Yeah. But in the end, she graduates, and I think she came to like true peace.
She did.
Yeah.
And they don't really tell you what is beyond the door.
No.
They did. You're right. She did come to a place of peace, but they don't tell you what exactly is beyond the door once you find the key.
No, and then everybody forgets you at school, so that's not great. It's like that seems ominous. Oh, and everybody who like graduates can see some sort of crazy like black moon thing happening in the sky.
Right, that's right.
Yeah, that totally makes sense.
So I always wondered if it was like predetermined in a way, or like, because you're right, that's like a foreshadowing.
Yeah, so it's like, oh, we know that Mashiro and Co can't graduate because they can't see like a multiple character. I believe Midori and Shinonome have asked Mashiro if he can see the moon, and he's been like, what are you guys talking about?
Right.
So that leads into Shinonome, who, as we mentioned earlier, is a paper giraffe in these dreams. I gotta say, one of the most powerful scenes to me in this manga so far was definitely when Kureha in the dream, like he gets torn apart and she like tapes him back together. I was like, oh, Kureha.
Yeah.
I feel for you, girl. It's like... Yeah, but otherwise, Shinonome, as we said, is a chess master, so he tries to make a pact with Mashiro, being like, hey, Mashiro, You are so uninterested in graduating, but I am so interested in being the best in graduating. So how about you protect me because I am this big doofy giraffe who can't like walk through the high school highways. Yeah, too tall, too flimsy to take care of myself. So yeah, you fight for me against all the other people. Visually, I kept being like, so you're like an evil Kuranosuke from Princess Jellyfish. It was definitely the under the eye eyelashes, like
oh my god.
Yeah,
that's one of my favorite character design things. Like when I see a character that has like really prominent eyelashes that are like on the lower lash, it's like I don't know why, but I enjoy that.
Yeah, it's definitely that and like the light hair. Yeah, for me. Did you like Shinonome? Did I like Shinonome?
Did I like him? I feel like he didn't stand out to me quite as much as like other like young bratty characters. Well, maybe he's not even bratty. He is a chess master again in the literal and metaphorical sense.
Yeah, he's like arrogant.
Very arrogant.
Yeah.
Because when it comes to certain characters that I gravitate toward, it tends to be like, all right, I'm gonna go into sort of like Otome Jose Muke kind of things, but like if anyone's familiar with Hypnosis Mike, Ramuda, and Tolkien Ranbu, what's his name? Shoot. Sword kid who really likes candy.
That seems like a good enough description to me.
Hocho Toshido, that's what I'm trying to say. Yeah. But neither of those characters are particular. Well, Ramuda is really smart. He's smarter than he looks. But really manipulative characters I find very interesting. But he didn't have a very long time in the story at all.
Yeah, he was introduced and then like just graduate. He just wanted to graduate real fast. So,
yeah, exactly.
So he went. The only other thing that really stood out to me about him was that he was the only one, if I recall correctly, so far that used they for Mashiro when he found out that Mashiro was intersex. Instead of he or she. There was definitely one scene where he's just like he says they instead because he's just like, I don't really care, and I don't have time for this.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, Shinonome is the only one who ever like considered singular they.
Which is really interesting because I think he was one of the biggest jerks about finding out that Mashiro was intersex. Like,
oh yeah, he made the worst jokes. Oh yeah, well so is obviously a jerk. Yeah. But yeah, no, Mashiro immediately was like, oh, that's so weird, right? And like started making fun of it and like making up dares. And then
yeah, like Shinonome would that's exactly what he would do. And but also like the using they is probably like a translation thing. Because
maybe
if I remember correctly, in Japanese, you don't really use he or she in every single sentence. It just sort of makes sense in context.
I mean, yeah, it's always hard with translated manga to be like, okay, what is, part of a translation choice and what isn't. And it's one of those things, too, where sometimes, like, I'm really interested in how, we're talking about a story where gender is a very big, like exploring what gender is and all of these other sexuality and everything tied to it is like the crux of the story.
Right.
But then in English, that's very tied to the word genre, and I like that it's also playing a lot with genre tropes. But I'm like, but in Japanese, that's probably not at all true, right? Like that's just an English coincidence. But I wanted to say it anyway. Yeah. So Shinonome, I was like, okay, you were here, and I didn't feel too much for you. Yeah.
He existed. But Shinbashi is interesting.
Yeah, Shinbashi, I think, is the one other main big character that we should go into right now. And I definitely felt for him, you know? His whole thing is that he's like friends with Mashiro, but definitely has like a hardcore crush on Kureha.
Mm-hmm.
But he's pretty respectable about it. You know, Kureha is afraid of men. So
Yeah.
Shimbashi's opening scene is him, you know, trying to be helpful with Kureha. She's like trying to get a book or something from a high shelf in the library, and she's struggling with it. So he comes up behind her to try to like help her get it, but of course she
And she
freaks out
laughs
and
it
is like,
out.
"What are you
Yeah.
doing?"
And like she calls him like trash and
Oh yeah, she called him what specifically?
I
She
think it
called him
was
like a maggot or
scum.
something.
Maggot. Yeah, she called him a maggot. Or like
Yeah.
worse than a maggot. I'm like, oh my god. Kureha. Like I get it,
Kureha,
but God, wow.
simmer down a little bit, Kureha. Yeah.
And like, yeah, he has a huge crush on Kureha, but he just kind of like very calmly takes it. Like he says, I'm sorry, I won't do that again. Which I respect the guy. Nice.
Right?
Yeah, he didn't say like, what the hell? Why are you like
Yeah,
this?
he never flipped out or anything.
Yeah, like Shimbachi respects women. 2020 drinks the respect women juice.
So yeah, so he's definitely trying to be like he's in a bad position, yeah, because he can see that Mashiro doesn't give Kureha what she wants or needs. I
Right.
think those are two different things, yeah. And he's like, you know, he definitely feels, I think, that he would be better for Kureha, but he definitely never pushes. He just tries to be there when she calls him sometimes and needs to talk about Mashiro not doing what she wanted.
Right. She does sort of warm up to him and starts to trust him to like Kureha vents to him over the phone and
Yeah.
like just talks about what she's worried about. And Shimbashi also talks to Mashiro about the things that Mashiro's worried about. And Shimbashi is just sort of the almost like the medium for that.
Yeah, he's very much a middleman. He's his own like tragic love triangle thing going on almost. Uh, and then interestingly, he manifests as the cell phone in the dreams,
Exactly.
which I think is very sad. I felt sad for
Yeah.
him in the end.
Also, just a quick little design thing that I thought was interesting. That since he manifests as a cell phone in the dream, his bead. Ooh, we didn't mention the bead cord, did we?
No, we haven't talked about the bead course yet.
Okay, so in the dreams, everybody has like a string of beads, three large beads around their neck. And every time that they get hurt, specifically when they feel emotional pain or fear or something like that, one of the beads breaks. And when all three of the beads break, they wake up from the dream. So I bring that up to say, coming back to Shimbashi being a cell phone, a sentient cell phone.
A nice flip phone from the mid
He
2000s.
is a flip phone with a cell phone charm. And the cell phone charm is his bead cord.
I know, that was like, okay, that was pretty good. Yeah.
I thought that was really cool. Too bad. I feel like if it were a smartphone and it took place more modern day, then that probably wouldn't be on it. There aren't really any places for cell phone charms.
Well, I think my understanding of Japan, having gone there in recent years and seen them more and more embrace smartphones, is that they still actually make cases like specifically with the thing to
really?
Attach the charms on it. Yeah.
Oh, bless. Oh.
Japan's not giving up those cell phone charms anytime soon.
Oh, that's some galaxy brain stuff. Oh.
Yeah. They love
good.
that stuff.
America, catch up.
America, get it together. Is it really?
Right?
Yeah, so Shimbashi, I mean, literally becomes like the thing that allows Mashiro and Kureha to like communicate. And it is like Shimbashi graduating is a big turning point, I think, for Mashiro being like, I'm doubling down on my I'm a man and I'm dating Kureha. And I want to have the sexy times with Kureha, right? Like that's definitely the turn where he's like, I'm gonna stand up to this jerk So, and then So makes like a stricken face, you know, at some point, like, oh my god, Mashiro really doesn't love me or whatever. And Mashiro and Kureha do have sex, so
yeah, they do, but don't Kureha and no, not Kureha. Doesn't Mashiro and So do it first? I think they do it first.
But they didn't get all the way.
True. Good
they got
point.
Interrupted.
They did get interrupted.
Because Shimbashi's looking out for that Kureha Mashiro relationship, you understand? Yeah.
Like, I don't want the ship to sink.
Yeah, he's like, I gotta save it. The only other people that I'm like, okay, well, what's gonna happen with these people is Kurosaki is the captain of the judo? No.
Kendo.
Kendo. I was like, judo is what their mom said and it was wrong. And it was supposed to show how she's not paying attention. Yeah. Yes, Kendo. I think it seems like they're setting him up to have a storyline next time. So I think we can probably talk about him then. But I'm like, wait a minute. Did I miss this, or has it kind of been dropped out of recent dreams? But who are the hands and what are they doing? Like the long arms hands person in the
By
dreams?
the end of volume 5, we do not get to who the hands are.
Okay. They're still in the dream somewhere. We just haven't seen them in a while.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, one of the members of the dream is just a hand. Yeah. Just an arm, a very long arm. You don't know the source of it. It's just a very long arm with like multiple elbows.
Yeah, definitely upping the horror game. Anytime that the arm just like goes into people's mouths and it's very phallic, I'm like, I do not like this.
There it goes.
I don't like it. Yeah. Okay, so we did get some listener questions, or at least followers of Mouna had some questions.
Oh, wow.
So I guess we'll try to answer them. So Sarah M, and these came on Facebook. So Sarah M asked, how does this interpretation of intersex compare to others you've seen in media? Would like to hear if you enjoyed this interpretation better or felt that it was lacking. So I gotta say, personally, for me, I was like, I actually can't think of any other intersex characters. Like, I am aware of Middlesex by Jeffrey, what's his face, being like, you know, the intersex book. There's also some YA one called None of the Above. Yeah, but I've never read either of those books, and then I just kept trying to think about it, and I was like, you know, I've read a lot of things with transgender characters, or, you know, like gender questioning characters, eunuchs, like Fushigi Genmu Kaiden has a eunuch in it, but I was like, I don't think I've ever read a story about an intersex character, if I'm honest.
Yeah, that's what I found so interesting about After School Nightmare. I feel like a lot of people who read it were exposed to intersex just being a thing through this manga.
I think it's very powerful.
Exactly. And Sarah, to answer your question, from what I've researched, there aren't that many representations of intersex characters. If you know any, I would love to hear them. But the only other one I can think of, at least in mainstream media, is from Steven Universe.
Oh.
Yeah, there's a character who is intersex in Steven Universe. I don't know how familiar you are with it.
I've watched it, yeah. So which character are we talking about?
It's Stevani.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we can consider Stevani intersex. Interesting. Are they like canonically intersex?
Yeah, it was confirmed by Rebecca Sugar. Like, she even Rebecca Sugar themselves even used Stevani as a character for I think a fundraiser related to like anti-intersex intersex surgeries.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, then Steven Universe is the only other thing that's intersex representation.
And that being said, it would be very hard to compare Steven Universe to After School Nightmare.
Yeah.
Steven Universe is, its primary demographic is kids. And so it's supposed to be a good representation of diversity for kids. But for this, a psychological horror manga,
well, for me, the biggest difference between Steven Universe and After School Nightmare is that with Steven Universe, there's a lot of I hate to talk about too extensively about other things not related, but it's pretty Steven Universe pretty widespread, I think, probably in people who listen to this podcast.
Oh yeah.
But Steven Universe, I think, without like reading about like what Rebecca Sugar says about each character, it's kind of ambiguous within the show itself. Necessarily. Like I didn't know that Stevani was intersex. I was always just like, yeah, Stevani is Stevani, man, and Stevani's the best. But like, like clearly, but I think like the gender in Steven Universe is always like, okay, there's a lot of queer undertones, but no like explicit overt mentions normally like one way or the other, whereas with After School Nightmare, it's very much like this is an intersex story. Like that's what it's about.
Yeah. However, I would say, like, again, I'm speaking as a cis woman, a queer cis woman. It kind of brings up the idea that how should I put it, how representation in many forms, not all representation is good representation, but it can still be representation nonetheless, even if it's not necessarily a good one. And I bring that up because the way Mashiro talks about his being intersex, he talks about it like a dark secret. Like, he does keep it secret and private, which is 100% valid. You don't really need to have your physical sex out to the public, So, like, it's just the fact that he tries to keep up his masculinity so strongly.
Yeah, I think, it's like, one, it's a dark secret. Two, he's very obsessed with picking one or the other, right? Like, it's not like he doesn't just accept that he could be both or neither. He's like, I must be a woman or a man, right? Like, yeah.
Exactly. And the fact that characters like Kureha will say, I like you, and I'm able to like you because you're not completely male. And part of me is like, okay, that's a take.
I would say overall, that's the other, like I get that it's a teenage exploration story and everything, but the characters it's not just like Kureha or anything. It's like all three of the main triangle kind of like they only want to relate to each other based on their gender, like So is like, I like you because actually you're a girl, and Mashiro is like, no, I'm not. And then Kureha is like, well, when you're around, so you act like a girl. Yeah. And I'm just like, whoa, you guys, like, calm down.
Exactly. And I noticed that no one's able to say, to be like, you can be a guy in many different ways.
Oh, yeah, no.
You can be a girl in many different ways. And that never came up until like volume 5. And I'm like, what? Really?
Yeah.
Because, God, Kurosaki, Mashiro even said at one point, like, I need a better I need a better male role model. I can't stop looking at So as my like measuring stick for what masculinity is or should be. Because Mashiro looks at Kurosaki and it's like, he's so calm, cool, and collected. He's so together, and he's so commanding in his voice. And people pay attention to him and listen to him, but he doesn't lose his cool. So Mashiro looks up to that,
Yeah,
and
as he should.
Yeah, he's wonderful.
Yeah.
Or is he?
But, oh
no. Because by the end of volume 5, there is an implication that he's got a dark secret.
I mean,
of his own.
They all have to have a dark secret, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, if you're going to be in those dreams, you gotta, I guess. So, like, the fact that that's not really it, the fact that you could be masculine or feminine in a variety of ways isn't really discussed, like that gender essentialism that I brought up earlier, especially from a character like So. Because, oh God, this one thing that that really stuck out in my mind was a scene where Mashiro and So were at we're at like the boys' dorm, and we're getting food or whatever, and Mashiro was getting coffee, and he was adding like sweetener or sugar to his coffee. You know what's coming. So So said something like, "Why do you add so much sugar to it? Like, I like it better this way."
Yeah.
And so Mashiro was like, "The hell, it's none of your business. I like sweet coffee. Get out of my face." And So is basically like, real men take their coffee black.
Yeah.
I'm like, excuse me? Excuse me?
Excuse you. So, my least favorite character. Anyway.
I mean, valid. 100% valid.
I mean, he also said, I forget, I guess it was probably when they were having the sexy times or trying to at the beginning of it. So says, yeah, like, if you can't decide your gender, then I'll decide it for you. And I was like,
yep.
Whoa. Like that's a hot take. And like, on some level I get it. It's an exploration of how much you like you walking through the world, part of your personality is shaped by the people around you and how they perceive you. Like, yes, valid. But I was just like, that was a hardcore statement right there for sure.
And there was also a thing about like, of course, coming from So, saying that men take what they want.
Yeah.
If I remember correctly. Like, men just take, and they don't care about who it hurts.
No. Yeah, so I mean, is this good representation? I think.
Oh yeah, back to the question. My bad.
It's fine. Again, I don't have a comparison stick, but based on what I know, like Middlesex being the one other novel that I know is really big and mainstream, and I think is also not written by an intersex individual. I think, we're just so lacking in any intersex education, kind of, that I think it's good that this exists. But I would, definitely as we get further and further into our gender, sexuality, everything else, difference between sex and gender education in 2020, it gets a little harder to be like, okay, horror manga about an intersex individual. Like, maybe some of these statements are a little too much. Yeah. But I reserve some judgment until I get through the whole story. Like, I don't know how it ends. I don't know what Mashiro decides about anything in the end. Maybe he comes to peace with being male or female or neither or both. I don't know. So I'm definitely curious. Yeah, Sarah's other question was, what do you think the manga is about? Like, what do you think the big ideas are that they're trying to be conveyed in the manga? I read the ending, so knowing that and really loving the initial premise of the manga, would love to hear what everyone thinks the big picture is. There's hinting throughout about the bigger narrative, but I would love to hear what everyone thinks so far. Man, okay, there's a bigger narrative. I am unaware of what the bigger narrative is, but again, I see it as like Mashiro really needs to come to a decision about what he is, because if he doesn't come to a decision? How can he ever, like, that's the other problematic thing about it is, it's like Mashiro can't love Kureha or so unless he knows his own gender. Like they are just unable to relate to each other. Yeah, like I said, without knowing each other's gender or having some preconceived notion of what the other's genders are.
Yeah, like it's like he'll never be able to be happy if he doesn't quote unquote figure it out.
Yeah. And I'm just like, I don't know that that's necessary. Like, this just means that, yeah, you're all seeing each other for like each other's gender and not like who they are as a person. Like, that's the other thing I hate about So, not to get too off topic, but like, I hate So because I don't know anything about So except that he sucks. Like, that he's a jerk, you know? Like, I don't know anything about what he likes, what he dislikes, how he is with other people that aren't Mashiro, you know, like, or his sister.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Like, well, we know what he's like with his sister.
No, I don't want to know that.
Well, there it is. But you have a very excellent point there. It's like his whole personality is being a jerk.
Yeah, and I mean, to some extent, we don't really know anything about anyone. Like, there is a distinct lack of like knowing what these kids were like before they went to this elite school, right? Like,
yeah, that's a good point, but I also think that might be a problem with certain manga narratives in general, or even anime franchises that take place in high school.
Yeah,
because it's like high school is the center of their universe in a way.
I mean, I get it. When I was in high school was also the center of my universe. And now being an adult, I'm like, that's so funny.
I know, right? Right? When I look at when I look back at high school, it's like, yep, that's going to end. 4 years is not that long looking back.
Yeah.
That and like, there's so much of the world outside of this little bubble called high school. And even from my own experiences, I've lived outside of the United States. I know there's more to the world than just school. But when you have to go there day in, day out like that,
yeah, you just get sucked into it.
Yeah, exactly. And so like you're just trapped in this little bubble. Or a fortress. Maybe that's more fitting.
Yeah. Well, so I guess you can't answer this question because you know what happens. Yeah.
Yeah, like maybe this will be a better question to revisit after volume 10.
Yeah, well, we'll see how salty I am.
That's valid.
We'll reevaluate. But
I would say that like a key word, like what regardless of message, like a key thematic word is identity.
Okay.
That's what I'd say anyway. Yeah.
All right. Well, the last question we got was from Joichi. And it was just, I'll be listening to hear whether the series is something I'll like. I am a new interested reader. And I'm like, well,
okay.
There's a lot going on in this manga.
Yeah. Also, the person who asked this, I know that she makes all ages work. It's like queer all ages stories, and with that in mind, I'm going to say no.
Yeah,
probably not with the way that with the gender essentialism. It's like, oh, that's some hard stuff for volume 1.
Yeah, it's just really hardcore. Like volume 1 is very hardcore. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, okay, this is one of those manga volumes where the first couple of pages are in color and they're not printed on the same like sort of newsprinty paper as the rest of the book. Like literally the first 4-ish pages are printed in color on gloss. And that being said, on volume 1, you see blood on a shower floor.
Yeah, I was like, it opens with Mashiro getting a period.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like you see like period blood on the floor of the shower in the water, and then the next panel is him from the waist up, just looking down like, oh no, it's that time.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like even looking at the cover of volume 1, I'm like, the cover of volume 1 lets you know that you're getting into some, kind of kinky stuff, you know.
Kinky.
Kinky's not the right word, but you know, like you're definitely getting into some sexy, scary stuff. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Something that'll unsettle a little bit.
Yeah.
Or with what happens to the characters, unsettle you a lot.
Yeah. So you know, that's fair warning to everybody out there. Yeah, for sure. Okay, I think we brought up most of the thematic stuff that we had like written down in the larger discussion. So the last thing I wanted to bring out for now was discussing more about the art. Again, I am not an artist. Like, I don't draw. I'm very bad at drawing. I'm much better at writing. I'm much better at writing than I am at talking or anything else. So I don't know why I make a podcast, but you know, people like it. So I'm like, okay. But
it's the kind of manga podcast that I needed, I think.
Thank you. But yeah, I was curious about like what you thought about the art. As I said before, I got like a very like newer school, like clampy vibe from this manga overall. Like, you know, the eyes not having real tones, like just being kind of black and like sometimes like scratchy, and definitely like the hair swirls, particularly on that the nurse or whatever, and like Kureha. I'm like, yeah. I'm like this is some very clampy stuff.
I love it.
I'm like, did Clamp just steal this art style? Yeah. Like.
No, I think it would have been the other way around.
I mean, maybe.
I think Clamp was around a little longer, I think. I'll have to check on that again. But
I think so, but I think they didn't do as much in this particular art style until like more recently, right?
You're right. That particular style that you're talking about for Clamp was more, it was Tsubasa and Holic. So that was more in like the 2000s.
Yeah, and I know they did like one other series is kind of in that style before that, but I'm just like, did they you know, lean more into it because of Mizushiro's like success, you know? Yeah.
I don't know. I actually don't know what even though Mizushiro is a pretty established manga artist, I don't know if any of her series became anime. Now that I think about it, because she dabbles in both shojo and some BL, from what I understand. Yeah. She does another one that got translated recently, I think, called "The Cornered Mouse Dreams of Cheese."
Yeah,
I think that's the title.
I think that one got an anime, maybe.
I'll have to find it. I'm hoping that it did, because I would love to see what Mizushiro's style looks like moving. That got to be wonderful. Anyway, so art-wise, I kept sort of drawing these comparisons to Asumiko Nakamura. For those who may not know who that is, she did a manga called Dokyusei, or Classmates, which was turned into a short movie that did come out in theaters in the United States, by the way. And she also did a lot of short comics for Gothic and Lolita Bible, because that magazine had a lot of like little comics at the end that included like girls in Lolita dresses and things like that. And her style is very wispy and dreamlike. And even though Dokyusei is very like cute and innocent, but still wispy and strange, she does a lot of darker work too. And that's what I kept sort of thinking back to as I looked at Mizushiro's art. Sort of how should I put it? The movement of how the hair is drawn, most manga relies on just line and also black and white values, but let's see. Sorry, I am flipping through some of it just to jog my memory a little bit stylistically.
Yeah, I'll just jump in to say that I tried to look up The Cornered Mouse Dreams of Cheese. Mm-hmm. And it's actually that it's being turned into a live action film that comes out like in like a week from now.
Oh, shoot, really?
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
If it's on Crunchyroll, I'll have to see it since I know that Crunchyroll also does like live action stuff.
Mm.
They just don't advertise it.
Of course. They're like, we gotta keep it hidden.
Make the weebs happy.
Yeah.
Weebs like myself. But yeah. Oh, another thing I want to bring up about the art style. Not even just like the style, but sort of an element that Mizushiro decided to include. There was a scene where Mashiro and So were about to get intimate. And as any frequent reader of shoujo manga will know, flowers are used a lot for decoration. But I found a very particular use of a flower to be very interesting. And I had to look it up. It's called a painter's palette, also called Anthurium Andrianum, I think. And
yeah, I super can't help you pronounce that.
It's Latin. I did my best.
Yeah.
So this particular flower has a very phallic look to it.
Mm.
And I thought that was very interesting to include that particular flower in a scene where it was Mashiro and So.
The masculine flower.
Exactly. I thought that could not have been an accident. I'm sure that was very purposeful.
Yeah.
Like,
well, everything about So is swords, phallic.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Freud would have a field day with this.
I know. That is kind of, I was just like, man, definitely some Freudian stuff going on with the dreams and all this sexy stuff. Yeah, like even stuff where they're like not with each other and maybe they're just thinking about each other, but they're like not even necessarily thinking about sexy things. I'm like, why is this sexy? Why is this titillating? Yeah.
Right. I love it when there are writers who'll have like certain character interactions or visual themes where it's like it's not inherently sexual, but when you read it and put all the pieces together, it's like this was supposed to be sexual, huh?
Super sexy.
Or it's like these characters aren't making out right in front of me, but this is sensuous and I see it.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, oh, these characters have to make out right now, even if the narrative doesn't call for it. Like, I feel that way when I play the Arcana, for example, that mobile game about tarot cards. I feel like there's other media where I've drawn that conclusion, but
yeah,
or like there's for something that I'm writing. I'm trying to write two characters as exes.
Uh-huh.
And I thought, I want there to be a lot of sparks between them, but I can't have it be too sparky. I can't have the fire burning.
Yeah. Oh, the lines. They're so...
Show some restraint.
Yeah. You're like, I don't want them to get back together. Yeah. But...
I didn't say that.
Oh, okay.
But yeah.
Well, then what's the problem?
But yeah, like the way that that Mizushiro uses her visuals, I absolutely adore. So the idea that she used that flower in a scene with So and Mashiro, I thought, this is not an accident. It absolutely cannot be.
It cannot be. Yeah, yeah. She's like picking and choosing her flowers based on the sexiness of the situation, the genders.
Right. I mean, isn't what's it called, Hanakotoba, flower language? That's a huge thing in Japan, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. That's a pretty big thing in Japan.
Yeah.
I don't know too much about it though, so.
I'm still learning a little bit about flower symbolism in recent years. Like how, if I remember correctly, Tigridia means save me or I'm in pain.
Okay.
I learned that because of Hypnosis Mike, just saying. But if I were to look up the other kinds of flowers that are seen in After School Nightmare, I'm sure there'll be some interesting things behind them. But I would not know how to look them up is the problem.
Yeah. I'm like, mostly my problem is that I wouldn't know how to look up the flowers in the manga. Yeah.
Exactly. Like, my mother knows a lot about gardening. I'll ask her. But
just send her constant pictures of manga panels. Yeah.
Yep. It's like, hey, what's this?
Hey, what's this? That's fair.
Even the one that I mentioned, the painter's palette flower, I had to look up phallic flower. I didn't know what else to do.
Oh my god.
Like, Google's algorithm's gonna hate me.
Oh my god, I love it. That's the best story.
I'm at my limit.
Amazing. All right. Well, I think that's a great note to end on, unless you have other things you want to bring up.
Not particularly. So's a jerk.
Yeah. We have a whole other podcast we're going to do. So yeah, we'll get there. Yeah, everybody, thanks for listening to Shoujo and Tell. Comments, questions, constructive criticism, concerns. Don't gush about your OTP. I don't want to know about that yet. But if you have anything else you'd like to say, email shoujoandtell@gmail.com or leave a comment on the episode's YouTube page. We're at Shoujo and Tell on Twitter, Tumblr, and Instagram. Mouna, where can people find you and your work on the internet?
Yeah, my name is Mouna Toure. You can find me on Facebook and Twitter at Moon Toons Art. That's Moon, M-O-O-N, Toons, T-O-O-N-S, like cartoons, and Art, A-R-T, like the word, art. Instagram, I'm at Moontoons, same thing, but without the word art at the end. And Tumblr, I'm at moon-toons at tumblr.com. For my other things, I'm also on Patreon at Moontoons, and for collaborative work, I'm at blacklightsugarpress.tumblr.com.
One of those things was not like the... That's cool.
Thank you. And thank you for having me on. I love your podcast.
Oh yeah, well thanks for being on, and yeah, we're gonna do this again soonish. Yeah, so for everybody, are you excited every time you see a new episode from us? If so, please consider leaving a rating on Apple Podcasts. This will help the podcast reach more hearts, or at least ears. Thanks again for listening. We'll be back next time for the second half of After School Nightmare. The nightmare does end. Whoa. Does Mashiro pick Kureha or so? Both? Neither? I don't know. Stay tuned to find out. Until then, bye.
Bye.